Hey you, did you know I'm a travel nurse? Let's talk about my current assignment down in Alabama. Hey you, it's Olivia. Welcome if you're new or welcome back if you're already following. Thank you for clicking in any case. My name's Olivia. I am a travel nurse. I also love talking about international travel, and we're starting to get a little bit of a talking about money and budgeting thing going on. But we are here today to talk about travel nursing. This is actually, oh my gosh, my last installment of talking about my assignments for now, because we've already gotten to the point that we're talking about my current assignment, and that is down in beautiful Alabama in the south where I am from, very close to my home state of Tennessee. So without really much else to say, let's get right into talking about the assignment. Alright, so we're picking up where we left off, about talking about my main assignment. You can click over into my series, and I will just go ahead and put the main assignment right over here if you want to check it out. I would ask that you do it afterwards and stick around here first, but you do you. I'm just happy you're here watching. Anyways, when I finished out my main assignment, I went on a small little trip down to Brazil and Peru, which it is going to be a while before we're talking about that because we are still at the beginning of my big long trip that was before that smaller trip. But we'll get there. Stick around with me. So when I got back from my international trip, I got back up to Maine pretty much just to put my things in the car and go back down to Tennessee. And at the time I was telling myself I was going to pick up a staff job because Maine had been really hard on me. I had felt very isolated from everybody, especially my family, and I wanted to be able to get back close to them and just work at home, even though, hometown. Even though I don't love the hospitals in Tennessee because I had a nightmare assignment there, but I was hoping that my city and working staff would be a little bit better. I had already put out a bunch of applications, literally basically as soon as I hit stateside, and even before, once I was in the airport planning to get back to the States, I was putting in applications. And as a travel nurse, I'm used to hearing back from somebody within 24 to 48 hours. I have been watching some other new YouTubers talk about their job experiences as like a topic, and wow, corporate America outside of healthcare work is a very different world. I didn't even have any idea about you guys' struggle. I'm so sorry. That gives me so much stress. I mean, I know that I have a very stressful job, but that's a different kind of stress, worrying about if you're going to be able to find a job to feed yourself versus, trying to keep other people alive at work. So yeah, props to all you guys. That's so much perseverance. Hundreds and hundreds of applications and waiting months to hear back from them. Oh, like seriously mind blown. And I'm not trying to be insensitive. I'm trying to literally be like, I can't say I feel you because my world is so different. Getting back to my own story, I got so impatient after waiting to hear from somebody in 48 hours after putting maybe 3 applications out that I just, went ahead and texted my recruiter, and I told her, I was like, I know I said that I was going to go take some time off the travel and do staff, but maybe we could at least look at some assignments. Here's the price range I'm preferring, and please do not send me to a northern state right now because it's October and it's about to be getting crazy winter weather up there. And what do you know? We found a contract for very good pay, especially down in the south. Again, if you're new here, I don't say explicit numbers about pay. I do have a financial deep dive video where you get to hear about how much I make a month, but it is slightly rounded. It's post-tax, and it combines my current PRN job and this contract because I don't explicitly say my pay because I'm still working with my agency and I want to maintain my relationship with them. But all that to say, it was very good pay for the South because a lot of times I had a hard time finding decent paying contracts in the South, especially compared to other parts of the country. And I'm like, Alabama is actually really close to home, and it's not Tennessee because I had blacklisted Tennessee from contracts even though I was trying to get staff there. And so I said, you know what, let's do it. Let's go to Alabama. Oh my word. The first thing we have to talk about is how ridiculously affordable housing is down here. I hadn't lived in the South since I left my staff job back in 2021. And at the time I was in a kind of it wasn't low income housing, but it was like the closest step you could get to low income housing without having to sign up with the government for it. And I was paying, you know, like I think about $550 or $600 a month plus utilities, and my neighbor next to me was paying even less because they had got grandfathered in a little sooner. And you know, then our rental company kind of did some crazy stuff to us. Anyways, we won't get into that whole story, but all of that to say is that my concept of housing was that when I started travel nursing, I told myself I was never going to pay more than $1,000 a month for housing, because in my world that was very realistic. Then I managed to do 2 assignments where I didn't do that. I rented a room in Washington for $900 a month. I rented a cabin out in Wyoming for like, I think it was only $600 or $700 a month. And then I got to Maine. Well, even Tennessee, my nightmare assignment in Tennessee, the rent was over $1,000. And that was also me getting back into the States after having been out for 5 months. And 5 months is plenty of time for the housing market to be like, nope, we're going up. So yeah, that. But anyways, I looked on Furnish Finder first, and I was finding things that were like between the $500 to $800 a month range pretty easily, even within the city of my assignment, and also ones that were right a city just over, you know, wouldn't be more than about a 30-minute commute to work and back. And I told myself, you know what, this is so ridiculously cheap, let's just look at Facebook Marketplace. And I looked, and I found this ad in Spanish, and it was $200 a month. Isn't that insane? I looked at that, I'm like, is this real? And also I already kind of think I know what sort of situation this is, but I reached out to the landlady anyways. I was actually thinking to lump this video, you know how last week I did a, with my main story, I made it about makeup. Also, I was going to make this a house tour plus talk about the assignment, but I was not wasting a video by lumping those together. You are getting a house tour, so we're not going to say too many details, but this is your little preview, and be watching out for my house tour, which I'm hoping to be giving you next Sunday. So make sure you hit that bell, make sure you're subscribed if you're not already, if you want to hear about my $200 a month rental down here in Alabama. So yeah, setting the stage, you know, Facebook Marketplace ad, $200 a month, all in Spanish. The lady wanted to call me, of course, to get a better feel for me. And I call her and we start talking, and I don't want to bring race into this too much, but she did ask me if I was Latina, which for one, that flattered me so much because I know my Spanish has an accent, so it must have been close enough to, at least in the moment I was talking to her on the phone, it must have been close enough to the accent of somebody who maybe grew up here but speaking Spanish and English. It was convincing enough that on the phone she thought I was Latina, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, and I had to say, no, I'm a white girl. And then she just, her tone changed a little bit, not like negative towards me, but just like, are you sure you want to live in this setup situation in this neighborhood and even this town? And I was like, yeah. She actually made me a little nervous. We'll be talking a little bit about the safety of the town at the end, but she started to give me a little bit of insight about it, and she told me that our street itself wasn't so bad, but there were rough streets nearby. I learned the Spanish word for shots, which I am going to put a voiceover for because I always mix it up with another word, and if I try to say it right now, I'll probably mix it up and teach you the wrong thing. So, ready for a pause? So, it's disparos if you want to be more formal, but I learned the slang version, tiros. Okay, I hope you had fun learning that little word. It's very useful. But yeah, my landlady was really great to me. She actually let me come down for a weekend just to check the place out. You know, I didn't even have to give her a down payment or anything yet. She said, don't even give me a down payment till you've come down, check out the town, check out the property, make sure you're comfortable with the roommates. And I did, and it was cool. We had a good time. We shared a couple of Coronas and Modelos, and, you know, just hung out on the front porch. And I was like, you know, yeah, I can make this work. So then it was time to pack my things together and move on down to Alabama for my assignment. So for the assignment itself, I was told I was going to be sort of a float pool nurse, but also have a home floor, and that I would know my home floor by the first week, you know, when I do orientation and education, all that good stuff. When I got my assignment, they said surprise, you're on the trauma lockdown unit, which was not anything I had ever done before. It sounds more dramatic than it is. Yes, we have restricted access with a locked door, and a lot of our patients have passcodes and, you know, more restricted whenever people call to ask about them type of things. And it is a lot of gunshot wounds and car accidents. With the gunshot wounds, that does kind of feed into the safety and not safety of the city. But it's been very interesting for me to see, because also I'm getting a lot younger patients. Before this, I would say the average age of my patient would probably be 60 plus. And now I very regularly work with 20-year-olds, people my age and younger. And that is so crazy to me. They're a very different type of patient. You know, people who are otherwise healthy but they got shot in the face. Like literally the face sometimes. And the things to be watching out for care for traumatic injuries like that, and wound care, because I don't usually do a lot of my own wound care. Usually we'll have a wound care nurse, but here I'm, you know, packing people's wounds and cleaning them, and it's very interesting. I am learning so much, and I'm loving it. I love the patient population. I love the type of skills I get to practice, and my coworkers are actually really cool too. We are mostly travelers. I think that probably I would say 75% of night shift is are travelers. I am on night shift. That's just kind of what I'm used to now. That's what the better rates are usually. And when I am in a new place, the pace of night shift makes it a little bit easier to adjust versus the pace of day shift. If you know, you know. And on top of that, I have a block schedule, which I have like never had in my life. The closest thing I've ever had to a block schedule is when I was contracted weekends. If you don't know, when you're like an hourly shift worker, at least in healthcare, maybe y'all don't use that term for other kind of shift workers, but that means that instead of, you know, just getting assigned on a weekly basis my days, I have set days, which is not the norm in nursing, at least not, you know, floor nursing in the hospital. And it's so awesome because it makes my weeks so much more structured. I can actually say I'm consistently off this day and this day and this day. I do work every Friday and Saturday night, which isn't great. It has been disappointing, especially because I get along well with my roommates and I like hanging out with them. And of course, those are their 2 days that they're usually wanting to hang out the most. And I always have to just be like, no, y'all, I'm working, sorry. But it also meant that I got to totally switch myself to day shift schedule, because at least for me, and I know every night shifter is different, but if I don't have at least a good 48 hours off between my shifts, I can't switch myself all the way back over. It just doesn't work. I'm just a zombie the whole time. Right now, I'm working 2 jobs. I also have a PRN. A PRN is like, it's supposed to be less than part-time. I could go on a whole rant about how the nature of PRN seems to be changing to more like basically part-time minus the benefits, but we'll save that for another day. All that to say, I have 2 jobs right now. One down here in Alabama where I work X numbers out of the week, and one up in Tennessee where I was working 2, but that was too much, so I ended up dropping down to 1. So between the 2, I'm working about 60 hours a week right now. It is pretty intense, and I do not ever switch my sleep back. In fact, I don't really get much sleep at all. But before that, it was just really nice to be able to be on day shift at least one day out of the week, because sleeping at night is so much more cozy. But, you know, speaking of that, let's talk about my life outside of work. Maybe you already picked up on this, but my question to that question is, what life, dude? For right now, pretty much, since I picked up my PRN, it's been pretty difficult to balance, and even more so now that I've picked up YouTube, which I love, and I mean, it's worth it to me, but I'm not gonna lie, I pretty much just do work 1, work 2, figure out how to fit YouTube in, and then figure out how to do basic life functions like eat, try to sleep every now and then, try to make sure my friends and my roommates and everybody know I'm still at least a little bit alive. And yeah, that's my life outside of work right now. But before all of this, I've been on this assignment since November, and I only started that PRN in like April or May. So from November into the spring, I did have, 3 days a week free, which was awesome. And like I said, at least one of those days of the week, I could be on full day shift schedule, which was just a dream, sleep at least 2 nights out of the week on night shift. I mean, tell me down below if you are a night shift worker or were before, and if you relate, because if you know, you know. But as far as the town itself, there's honestly not all that much to do. It's pretty much just a place that people live. And like I said, it's really not that safe here. You might have seen some of my little Walmart vlogs and noticed that my roommate's always with me. And my Walmart vlogs have, as far as now, always been in the daytime, in the morning when it's relatively okay. So I do go there by myself that time of day, but I'm not gonna lie, him or one of the others always accompany me, words, if I go out anywhere pretty much after dark. If it gets past about 9 or 10, I don't leave the house by myself. I'm either already at work or locked down for the night, because that's just the vibe of the town. So it can be a little bit restricting, but I've learned to work with it, and I've been a lot of places in the world even less safe than here. Again, not alone. I'm also not going to like cosplay as a solo female traveler. But yeah, to be honest, the town itself, this isn't that interesting of a town. I don't feel like there's too many like iconic things too nearby. I would say the main point of interest for myself that's sort of close would be New Orleans, because it's actually only like, I think, less than an 8 hours drive. It's a little bit more than a day trip pretty much. So that's cool, and you can get to the beach pretty soon from here. We are not one of the beachside towns, but we're close enough that you probably could make the beach a day trip or just like a weekend trip. And that's nice for me as someone from a lockdown state. Landlocked state. I sleep in the daytime more than the nighttime, so this doesn't happen as much. But especially back when I was sleeping at least 1 to 2 nights a week, I was getting used to getting woke up by gunshots. And I'm not gonna lie, I think one of the main reasons that I quit being woke up by them wasn't even necessarily that I quit sleeping at night, but just that, your body kind of gets used to things. But honestly, I have adjusted. I have a lot of other coworkers who have kind of expressed discomfort about the town, especially people who are traveling down here by themselves and aren't from the area. But for me, I've been able to adapt and adjust. I think that having my roommates has definitely helped a lot, and the fact that I have been so many places in the world and I'm used to just kind of going with the flow even when I don't feel the safest. And I'm not gonna lie, I even kind of feel like a baddie, like whenever I tell my girlfriends up in Tennessee about everything going on, especially when it was first going down. And I was showing them pictures of the rental that I'm in. They were all like, "Oh my god, Olivia, are you okay?" And I'm like, yes, I am fine. I am thriving. I've also been getting a lot of great Spanish practice because I am the only person in the house for right now who speaks fluent English. So everything's in Spanish. I'm getting full-on immersion, eating a lot of amazing home-style Mexican cooking. And yeah, I am honestly loving it. It's not for everybody. I guess you could call it maybe an acquired taste, but it's great for me, and I am saving so much money. And yeah, it's been great. It's been a great, how many months now? Let's see. December, January, February, March, April, May, June. Wow, 7 months. It's been an amazing 7 months. I wouldn't have wanted to be anywhere else, really. So the plan for now is I'm going to be staying until at least September. I have renewed my contracts, like I think 2 times, to get myself to that point. And then the reason that I got my PRN up in my hometown is because I was just going to come back from my Iceland trip, which I'm so excited for, in September. and work my PRN until my very big trip, which I'm even more excited for, that's going to be starting in late December. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't been enjoying my PRN up in Tennessee nearly as much for a variety of reasons, between the culture with my coworkers and also the floor itself and the patient population. Literally everything I'm not enjoying as much. And I am a little bit spoiled with patient ratios right now. I don't expect them to stay like they are down here in Alabama, but you want to know, I literally get 4 patients a night, a lot of nights here. And that is just a med-surg nurse dream for the background that I come from. And again, I don't think this is going to be forever, because when I got here it was 6, and I'm sure it's going to go back to 6. But I am milking, I'm just enjoying every single moment of this heaven. All that to say, I honestly really just want to stay until it's time for me to go on my big trip. And you know, once I go on the big trip, I'll just have to figure out what to do when I do eventually get back here, because I'm not even sure exactly when I'm getting back to the States. But yeah, I'm kind of thinking, is there a way for me to just stay in Alabama? And I have been having some conversations with my manager down here, and we'll see. There might be a possibility for me to switch over to either a non-travel contract, because the deal is I cannot stay here as a traveler past a year mark, because just some kind of complicated technical legal things with taxes and that sort of thing. A travel nurse position cannot be more than a year, otherwise you become a resident. So lots of fun possibilities. We'll see where it all goes. But yeah, for right now, things are a little bit in the air. I will either be back up at my parents' at my PRN that I have in Tennessee, or down here in some capacity in Alabama from October till December, when I totally leave the country for a good long while. And we'll just keep playing it by ear and making it an adventure either way. Kind of on the topic of uncertainty, this is the end of the Travel Nurse Diaries, but I was thinking maybe I'll keep using this Monday slot or maybe a Tuesday slot to talk about other things related to nursing, maybe other story times, or things like work culture, finding a job as a nurse, education as a nurse. I have been getting quite a few more comments and engagement on my videos now, including my nursing videos. So I want to invite you to give me your input, because as of right now, I am not sure what I'm going to shoot for Monday, if I shoot anything at all. So you just let me know down below what you would like to see, nursing related or otherwise, and we'll see where it takes us. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope to see you again on Friday for my international nursing assignment. Or, I'm sorry, it's late/early. Anyways, make sure you're tuning in on Friday, because that is my international travel story times. And definitely be looking out on Sunday. You'll be getting a tour of the house. All right, well, make it a beautiful week for yourself and those around you, and see you again soon. Post-credit scene, yay! All right, here is your new internet bestie invitation, and if you've been staying for these for an extended period of time, you get a like super internet bestie award. So here's your little crown. Thank you so much, seriously. Honestly, I just want to keep talking about the channel generally, since you are obviously pretty dedicated to be watching to the end. I can't get over how exciting it is, the growth I've been seeing, and I am so proud of myself because I actually won the Walmart challenge yesterday now, because it's Monday early morning as I'm filming this, and I was actually very happy and satisfied with the vlog I made. It really wasn't much of anything, but I was sitting there having to stop myself from continuing watching because I was just so happy with how it turned out. I hope you guys enjoy it too. I feel like, you know how you can have good and bad hair days? I'm kind of having a good camera day. I wish I could take more advantage of it, but it's time to drive up to Tennessee. So I'm going to tell you goodbye, get this video edited out so you can watch it later on today, probably, sometime in the afternoon. And we'll be seeing each other again soon, right, Internet Bestie? All right, bye.